The WCA home has private rooms for seniors who need assisted living. We are a nonprofit home founded 125 years ago for women, now seeking approval for men. Our mission has always been top-notch assisted living. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District, with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Doc Hamels, and welcome to Chautauqua Sunrise. It's another show in store for you that I think you're going to find very interesting, and I can't wait to talk with my guests because I don't know a whole lot about today's topic, and you'll hear about it here in a little bit. So do tune in, and if you have to break away for a little bit, remember we are on at 2 and 8 every day right here on Access Chautauqua, 1301. I want to remind you that if during the show, while we're live obviously, that if you have a question for my guests, for me, if you have an announcement, a birthday, anniversary, just something your club is doing, give us a call at 753-5225, okay? And don't be shy. And if you think about it later on in the week, you can email us, you can Twitter it, you can go to Facebook, send me a message, whatever. We're happy to get your information on, okay? So also I want to say good afternoon to our listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people. Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great work week, or if you're just having a fun week, hope you're having fun too. And so thanks for joining us. Well, the weather has really done an about face, and I'm always, I don't know, I've seen a few falls over the years, but this year it changed exactly on the first day of fall. That was kind of interesting. So I don't know how it is at your house, but I think it was like 54 degrees this morning. And luckily I closed most of the windows and doors last night because for the last 2 months I think we've had everything open. And even the dog was curled up in a tight ball. He was cold. So enjoy the fall here in Chautauqua County. If this is your first fall or autumn with us, it is a wonderful place to be. I was riding my bike down Route 20 the other day, and I could just inhale all the smells of the grapes. After they process the grapes, they call it pumice, and they pile along the sides of the roads, and it was just Concord Grape Valley. It was just unbelievable. And of course, we were just talking earlier in the show before we went on that the fall colors should be coming on pretty strong here, especially with this cold weather now. And Chautauqua County is certainly beautiful this time of year, and the colors, and it's just unreal. Of course, Right along with all that are your farmers markets and all your fruit stands and things like that. The produce is just plentiful here in the county, so do support your local farmers. Right along with that same note, just on a personal note, Will Russell and I will be playing over at the Jamestown Farmers Market this afternoon from about, I'd say about 11:45 to about 1:45 right there on Cherry Street. So come on down and join us. It's a great time, and support the local vendors that are down there. So let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, a very important one. As I mentioned that you can call us with certain announcements, I have a personal one. I know he won't see this, maybe he'll see this later on YouTube, but I do want to wish my oldest son happy retirement. It seems hard to believe that I have a son that will retire. Now you might say, how old are you? Well, he's retiring at a young, rather young age, 25 years in the military, and he's retiring as a Chief Warrant Officer 4, which is pretty cool. And he just had his retirement party out in Colorado. Unfortunately, we couldn't be there, but my daughter put together a nice long presentation for his wife to read to him. And so anyway, Scott, we're proud of you and congratulations on a job well done. See how simple that was? Doesn't cost anything, and we're happy to share it. I would have put up a picture, but I don't know if I can put any military pictures up. They keep telling me I got to be careful on those things. But if you have someone that's not in the military, you want to send us a picture and an announcement, please do that. We're happy to do that. Okay, so I'm going to read a few announcements, and then we're going to take a little breather, and then we'll be going into the heart of our program today. So let's see, where are we going to start out? We're going to start out in Jamestown. Now, I'm not sure if you can still drop in and on this. I'm going to read it one more time this week, and then we're going to stop. So this is called a parenting class, and this is brought to you by the Chautauqua Alcohol and Substance Abuse Council, CASIC, and the Mental Health Association. It says, build a strong foundation for your children. Your child's first years are so important. Learn how to make the most of them with active parenting, first 5 years. In this program, you'll learn the best ways to nurture your child from birth to pre-K with just the right combination of freedom and nonviolent discipline. Give your kids a strong start. And then you might cover these topics. Here's what you'll learn. What a baby's cry means. Ages and stages of development. Building a strong bond. Your child's growing brain. Using mindfulness to keep your cool. Effective discipline young children can understand. Choices and consequences. 6 ways to prepare your child for school, success, and much, much more. There's 4-hour sessions. The first one's already done, but they're 2 hours long, and I suspect if you give them a call, that they probably can still fit you in. It's free of charge, and it's through a partnership with the United Way of Southern Chautauqua County. So for more information, go to CASIC. I'm going to spell it for you. This is their website, casacweb.org. Okay, we're going to go up to Dunkirk now, and they're going to have what they call recovery walks. There's going to be one in North County, and this is going to be held Thursday, September 20th, 4 p.m., and it's going to start at the Dunkirk City Hall at 342 Central Avenue in Dunkirk. All right, and there's the poster right there for you who are watching us on TV. And the second location is down in South County, which is going to be held on September 27th at noon, and that starts at the Mental Health Association, 31 Water Street in Jamestown. Okay, additional resources will be available as in information. Light refreshments will be provided. Wear your tie-dye apparel, okay? So, and that's being sponsored by CASIC and a whole bunch of other folks. Okay, next one is, I think a new one, I can't remember. This is called The Art of Rock. This is slide 17. Look at that. Oh no, we did see this last week. This is going to be held at the really cool library in Westfield, the Patterson Library, Octagon Gallery in the library. They're presenting The Art of Rock, the art of Alan Jaeger and sculpture from Mark Gillespie. There's his opening reception is going to be Friday, September 28th from 7 to 9. Tree Birds Gallery concert 8 to 9, and then September 28th through the November 2nd will be the actual, basically the show. Okay. Moving right along, we're going to go to Jamestown again. Today's dating, is it abusive? Because this is a good topic. Natasha Yuma, the Salvation Army, a news center. She's a prevention education coordinator and advocate. It's going to be a program presented Thursday, October 4th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is brought to you by the CASIC once again and the Salvation Army. And this is what they say. Dating abuse is a prevalent dilemma in our society. Although many report never having experienced abuse in their relationships, some may be surprised to know that the behaviors their partners are displaying are warning signs of an abusive relationship. In this training, we will clearly define dating abuse in a way that is simple and easy to remember. In addition, this training will go over specific behaviors that are commonly used by abusive partners to control their dates. Not only will we go over dating abuse and what it looks like, participants will walk away with an understanding of how to help if someone they know is experiencing dating abuse. And once again, this is brought to you by CASIC. They got a lot of programs going on, pretty cool stuff. All right, and obviously that this is a timely topic in America right now with everything that's going on in Washington, so you might want to check that out. All right, let me just see if where I'm going next here. I talked about those things. Sometimes I get my pages out of order here. And I think the last one is, right, thank you, Jeff. Okay, Community Respite Care Program. All right, this is over in Westfield. And the surrounding townships. So don't think just because you're not in Westfield, this isn't for you. This is going to be held at the First United Methodist Church in Westfield. This is to provide individuals suffering with dementia and early stages of Alzheimer's and an opportunity to partake in a social, supportive, and secure environment and give caregivers the temporary relief they need. It includes care providers trained by Western New York chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, so they understand the unique challenges and rewards of working with those suffering for dementia. Free monthly program includes a homemade lunch, therapy, pets, games, crafts, simple exercises, fun-loving volunteers, laughter, and music. Wow. Second Wednesday of every month, it's going to be held from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., once again at the Westfield First United Methodist Church at 101 East Main Street. And if you want more information, give Gail a call at 867-2319, or you can email them at westfieldrespite, all one word, at gmail.com. And I'll tell you, I know more and more people that are dealing with members of their family with Alzheimer's and dementia, and I encourage you to check that out. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to be right back. And that's sort of a little entree into our discussion today. It's my pleasure to meet and introduce today Mary Croxton and Marcia Merrins from, let me get this right, the League of Women's Voters.
Yep. Correct.
On the way over here, I had it backwards. I was saying to myself, the Women's League of Voters, but it's the League of Women's Voters.
Yep.
So, Marcia, you've been here before, so how about we start with Mary first?
Sure. Okay.
And then we'll go to you and so on. So, I got this email quite a long time ago and said that folks from the league wanted to be on the show, and I said, sure. And but I don't know anything about you. So, tell us about Mary Croxton.
Oh, I am president of the League of Women Voters of Chautauqua County.
Okay.
And I came to this after I retired. My mother, who was 10 years old at the time women got the vote, as far as I remember, in the 50s and 60s and on, or I left by the end of the 60s, her going to League of Women Voters meetings. And that's what led me to become involved. My mom had been involved with the League a long time.
Okay, so you kind of was in your blood, in your DNA.
I guess it was in my DNA, yes.
So what did you do before you retired?
I am a registered nurse.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at Brooks Hospital in maternity for a number of years, and then at the end of my career, I went to Wheelock School and was a school nurse there for a while, and then I retired.
Super. And Marcia, you wear lots of different hats.
I do.
What hat would you like to wear today, and tell us about it?
I'd like to wear the hat of the League of Women Voters. And I am on the board of the Chautauqua County League of Women Voters, but I have been state president for quite a while, after I was president of the local league. And then I was on the national board in Washington for quite a while. And one of the things, it's funny when you said League of Women Voters, you didn't know what it was. And I think one of the basic misconceptions is that the League of Women Voters is only women, which it is not.
Oh, okay.
The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. And yes, those two things can live together, nonpartisanship and being political. And although it originally started as an organization around the time women were getting the vote to educate women on issues so they can vote intelligently, and it wasn't supposed to be sustainable. It was just for that period of time. But over that period of time and beyond, people realized that a lot of people need education about issues and candidates, and so the league still endures going into 100 years, actually almost 100 years. So one of the things I did when I was state president, and you're going to laugh at it now, is I tried to change the name of this venerable organization.
That's still ongoing.
And I actually ran a campaign at convention with signs, really ran a campaign with buttons and signs and handouts that the league is actually being prejudiced against men, even though men are welcome to join.
Right.
But to me, it sounded tongue-in-cheek. Would you expect a woman to join the Men's Order of the Moose or something? I don't know.
Right.
So I didn't win that vote.
What did you want to call it?
League of Voters or something, that was more neutral or, open to anything, really, a little creative.
Yeah.
But the part is that, and I understand that, is that the League is the most trusted organization, political organization in the country. There was a poll done with different organizations, and indeed we are the most trusted, and I think that's based in our nonpartisan stance.
Yeah, we don't support or oppose candidates at or parties at any level of the government. So.
Okay. How many members are in Chautauqua County? Let's start there.
Chautauqua County has about 100 members, give or take.
That's a good number.
Yeah, I think it has had more and it has had less. When I became president, I don't remember the year, but there was League of Voters of Fredonia, Dunkirk, Fredonia, and then there was a League of Women Voters of Jamestown.
Oh.
And
the
there were
typical
so
north-south.
few. Right. So when I became president, we combined them.
Good for you.
And now we're countywide.
Right. Yeah, I always kid with people. They say, I'm from the north or from the south, and I go, I'm from neither. And they look at me, I go, I'm from West County. Ripley is in the west.
Yeah.
And so, no, you're in the north. I go, no, I'm pretty sure I'm in the west. At the state level.
Not that it matters.
Not that it matters.
Right.
So then at the state level, I'm assuming there's thousands?
I don't know if there's that many now. I mean, the League of
really?
Women Voters, like most non-for-profits, has seen an attrition in members. I think we have a lot of supporters, but I think who rally us forward but don't join, because I think the lives of many people are so busy and they feel if they can't be active in an organization, they don't join it. So I think like all not-for-profits, there's been an attrition in terms of the numbers of people. But I think communities like our community and our county really respect the work that we do.
No doubt, no doubt. I've heard your name time and time again. I mean, I've been in the county for 45 years or something like that, and because I grew up in Buffalo, but then when I came here back in the 70s, I mean, I've heard that title over and over and
League
over
of
again.
Women Voters,
Yeah, absolutely. What about the national level? I mean, is it in every state?
There is, almost every state has a state league, and local.
2 exceptions, I believe, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
So close.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, almost every, including Alaska, Hawaii, I have to say.
I went to the convention in Chicago, and there were delegates from Alaska.
That's pretty cool, isn't it, when you
Yeah.
get to see people from around the country?
Well, if you think of the thrust of the League of Women Voters, which, their basic mission is to educate voters on issues, I think that's important everywhere. And that's another reason why some people may not consider the League as relevant as it once was, with the proliferation of access to news and all kinds of media information. But it's the unbiased position of the League that makes it so important, and the way we do debates versus the way broadcasts do debates.
I think we were talking before the show that the league is close to 100 years old at the national level.
Yeah.
And memory serves me correct, I think next year it's 100 years
Not quite.
for women's suffrage.
Women's suffrage, oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
obviously the
Yeah.
two went together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's the history of
The League came after women got suffrage to educate women on issues so they could be intelligent voters.
Specifically, 6 months before, the League was formed 6 months in Chicago before the ratification of the 19th
Right.
Amendment. And to my thinking, part of the reason we went forward as a nonpartisan group was that these women, some of them League members, but Carrie Chapman Catt formed the League in 1920, was they had to really work with Republicans and Democrats and in a nonpartisan kind of way to get the 19th Amendment passed. So that may be in part why we became we don't support candidates.
Sure. I guess I'm a rather liberal thinker, and I'm in shock to this day that women have only had the right to vote for actually 99 years, I guess, as of the moment.
1920.
I mean, I can't comprehend that. I can't comprehend my daughter, my granddaughter, my wife, my mother not being able to vote 100 years ago. I can't comprehend that
And
whatsoever.
it took 72 years or probably more for that struggle
Wow.
to come about in 1920.
Well,
And it hinged on one vote.
yes, I read that story, or watched that story.
That's why it's really important for people to vote.
Was it the senator's mother that
That
called him and
insisted,
said,
yeah.
yeah,
This
said,
was in Tennessee.
you need to do
Yeah,
this.
yeah, and it was by one vote. So, the thrust to get people to the polls is as important as registering people to vote. A lot of people are registered. I mean, if everybody that was registered voted, we would have, probably Chautauqua County would have one of the highest voting records in the county. But it's getting people to the polls, and that's one of the things that we try to encourage.
Let's talk about that for a minute, okay, if we would. I would think that in the atmosphere that we live in today in our country, that people would be coming out in droves to vote, to make their voice heard, and that just doesn't seem the case. And I'll give you a prime example. Without going into the details, I read the results of the recent primary in Chautauqua County. Now, there weren't a lot, but I saw races where it was like 10-8 or 7-4, or I mean, it was like hardly anybody came out to vote in the primary. So what's the deal?
Well, the primary is a little different, right?
I understand that, but still.
Right. So if you're a Democrat and there's a Democrat primary, you probably, unless you're well educated in the positions of both of those candidates, then you probably just say, I'm too busy, I have to make dinner tonight, Yeah, primaries are very low turnouts generally.
Yeah.
Because they don't feel it's the important one.
But it's the local politics.
I know.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
and those are
Yeah.
probably more crucial sometimes than the November one because you're picking, you know, your
And
candidates at that
I
point.
have to say there are many thousands of voters in Chautauqua County who are not affiliated with a major political party.
Yeah, independent.
So they cannot vote in a primary.
Yeah.
You know, Mary, let's talk about that for a second because I've talked to people over the years, and I'll say they'll ask me what party I'm in, and we discuss it, and I'll say, well, what party are you in? And they'll say, I'm in the I'm not in any party. I'm in the Independence Party.
That's
And I
it.
go,
That is a real party.
no, you're not independent. You're in Independence Party. So can you shed a little light on that to help people understand it? Because I will bet there's a bunch of people that marked a box and thought they were just nonpartisan.
When you register to vote, I actually brought a registration form. Not that you can see it on the screen, so I won't tell you. But at the bottom, when you register to vote, it says, I wish to enroll in a political party, and there are 8 or 9 different political parties. And then on the bottom, it says, I do not wish to enroll in a political party, in a little box, right? If you check Independence Party, thinking it means that you are independent, you're wrong.
Right.
It means you are affiliated with that party. So you really, if you don't want to be affiliated with a party, you have to re-register and go to the bottom and say no party. And I think my husband likes to say he's independent, and he is. He's not registered with a political party, but there is an Independence Party, and if you don't read the whole document, you will miss that. Yeah. It turns out, interestingly enough, just as the Reform Party in the last primary actually allowed non-affiliated voters to be in their
Come on over, yeah.
to be in their poll book. They're not registered Reform, but Reform Party allowed them in so they could vote for the Reform Party's candidates for Attorney General.
Right. Wow.
Three
And
of
that
them.
was, and there were 3. And now the Reform Party only has 30 registered voters in the county, but they had a poll book that had thousands of names
That were none.
not affiliated with a party, which was just an interest. It was the first time I've ever, you heard my history. I've never heard of that before.
Right,
So
right.
I was arguing with Norm Green, like, what are you talking, don't these, anyhow.
Right.
So it's just interesting. So there are a lot of people who don't vote in primaries because they're not affiliated with a party or don't care or are not educated about the candidates, so they feel they can't make an informed decision, which is why before you go to vote, you want to be educated, and the league has many ways that you can educate yourself about voters.
Okay, so let's just go back a little bit on the primary idea and being having no party. You don't want to be in a party. So the only time you could, if you don't have a designation, the only time you would have been able to vote in a primary is if that particular party, like the Reform Party, says it's okay, you can vote with us. Otherwise, you can't vote in the other parties.
No, and that's never happened in my lifetime,
Right.
in my personal lifetime.
It was something unusual.
Until this primary. That's one of the things you sacrifice when you don't affiliate with a political party. Then you can't choose the candidate for a political party if you're not a member of the party, and that makes sense, right?
One of our, objectives is to help people fill out these registration forms. So we go to farmers markets and we go to colleges and help students.
Sure.
And one of our thrusts is to inform students about their voting rights, absentee ballots versus if you're interested in local politics. If you go to Fredonia State, say, and you're interested in, you can vote locally here in New York State. Other states make it a little more difficult for students to vote, but New York State is one of the states that does a pretty good job of making access to the voting for students.
So where are we now with the voter registration? I thought yesterday was the last day. Am I wrong?
Voter registration. No.
Okay.
No, it's
October 12th is the last day to change party enrollment for the 2019 primaries. So
Okay.
that's what's bad in New York State. We have this very complicated deadlines in terms of voting.
Of course.
October 30th is the last day to postmark an application for the absentee ballot. So if you are a student at Fredonia and you live in Brooklyn and you want to vote in Brooklyn, you have to request a ballot.
Right.
And it has to be postmarked October 30th because you get the application. They send you the application. You have to fill it out and then send it back, and then they'll send you the ballot. See how complicated it is?
I got quite a few students at Fredonia getting absentee ballots.
All right,
to
so
be sending.
people that are watching right now, perhaps they're homebound, they're going to be on vacation, wherever. How do you get a ballot?
You can go online if you're computer savvy to the Chautauqua County Board of Elections and download an absentee ballot application and then mail that in before October 30th.
And then they send you the actual ballot.
And then
though.
they'll
Then
send
they
you the
send you the
ballot,
ballot.
which can be hand-delivered or postmarked, by November 6th.
Okay.
One of the things is they with absentee ballots, they want to know why. And that, I think, is personal.
Yeah.
Suffice it to say you cannot, and I think the State League is with that.
Yeah. With
Suffice
no
it to
excuse,
say
absentee
no
ballots.
excuse.
Yeah.
Suffice it to say I can't, not because of health reasons, not because I'm on vacation. Why do I want people to know I'm away? Because I'm at school, whatever. So that's one of the
27
things.
states allow it, plus
Yeah.
the District of Columbia, and that is in the legislation, and the league supports that. Whoops,
Good.
sorry about that.
We have some background music. That's all right. This happens. One point that I want to go back to in our discussion here is as far as people watching right now, how do they join the league?
Well, we have a website, lwvchautauqua.org, and I can just take it out.
Sorry, I thought it was in the car.
That's okay.
lwvchautauqua.org, or you can call. You can look it up online and just call Mary or myself. And
We have membership drive going out now, and the membership committee is sending out letters, and we do just for established league members, and then we have them available again at the farmers markets and other places that we.
Okay.
That we
So
go to.
what's eligibility?
citizen.
Okay. For a period of time? 30 days? Just
No, we don't.
Citizen.
no.
I don't even know if you have to. Do you have to be a citizen? I don't even know if that's even. It's pretty open.
Pretty open. Okay.
It's not. Yeah. It's
Cost?
pretty open. It varies from local league to local league. I think ours are $60, and then we have family membership for $90,
Okay.
and there's a student membership for $25.
Okay.
Actually, students can join for free now.
There you go.
Okay.
See, I'm out of the loop already.
Yes.
So what do they get for their membership? What happens?
Well, basically, you support the organization. You get all of the information that what they're doing, National League, State League, local leagues are doing with their respective issues. And you get to go to conventions, which are really very interesting.
Very nice.
Yeah, they're very interesting to go to. It's the way democracy should be. Yeah, you get a newsletter once a month.
Marcia puts out a very nice newsletter.
Yeah, and the other thing you can do, but you don't have to be a member to do, but this is the way you know about it, is that we have these informational meeting on various topics that affect voters, whether it be local, state, or national. We'll mix them up. We just had one on plastics in water.
Lake Erie and waterways.
Waterways.
We tried to focus more on a local. So Lake Erie, Canada Way Creek,
Right.
and Nate Dragg did a nice job of presenting that information to us.
And our next one, interestingly enough, is going to be on the Electoral College versus the National Popular Vote Compact.
I was in Europe recently, and I didn't even attempt to try to explain Electoral College.
No, well, it is complicated, but the league believes that one man, one vote. So we believe in the
I
direct.
tend to feel that way too.
We believe there was a reason why
Yeah,
it was formed,
it has
but
purpose.
sometimes you have to kind of go back and
it was an
relook
interesting history.
It has an interesting history. But the National Popular, and in order to get rid of the Electoral College, you have to change the Constitution, which is not going to happen. So the League is kind of pushing toward circumventing the Electoral Colleges by having each state, the winner of the popular vote in each state will win the electors' votes in that state.
Right.
And that's called a compact. And if enough states agree, then you will have the
In essence, you've
accomplished it.
New York
Yeah.
State has already signed up for that.
Oh,
Not it signed up. It signed
signed
up
up.
in 2014 and then re-signed in 2018, so that there wasn't a deadline. The original one had a deadline. 2016. Yeah, 2016, because 2018 was the deadline that they had to make the decision by.
now does the league promote what I would call it seems like, and I'm glad to see it, insurgency of women in politics. I see
Yes.
more women going for grassroots positions or even state level. Is that part of the
We promote the women getting into politics,
But
but
not
again,
necessarily what
then again,
party.
we don't support the candidate themselves.
So that's an initiative within
Yes, just we would like to see more women involved, but not.
I think current issues that you read in the media are heightening women's voice, and the things they don't feel helpless and hopeless in a lot of issues, and I think the league supports. I think it's so hard to get somebody to run for public office anyhow. So I mean, you take a lot on because you're at the mercy of the party who's supporting you and everybody who said they gave you their vote.
right.
So I think one of the things I love about the league is that you can make a difference in the political sphere without owing Republicans, Democrats, working families, or anybody. We support people running for office, and I think women as well.
Okay. Would you hold on for a minute? We have a phone call.
Okay.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning. This is Linda Spalding.
Hey,
good morning, Doc.
Linda.
Good morning, Marcia and Mary. Congratulations for all the terrific work the League does for us. It's a phenomenal organization. You keep people informed. You have open forums. I can't mention your praises enough.
Wow.
Thank you.
There's a testament. Linda, are you a member?
I used to be a member when I was working only 20 hours a week, and that's long gone. But I really should join again, but I've been hesitant because I haven't been able to go to your luncheons.
Well, let me tell you that when you join the league and you're supporting the organization, if not with your time, then with your money. And although we're very cost effective, it helps. And your numbers, the more members we have,
Sure.
the more influence we have
mass, yeah.
on the people in
And
Mayville
lobbying,
and lobbying. So if we have 300 members versus 100 members, we have a lot of clout. So your being part of our roster, even if you cannot come to luncheons, really supports our work. So I hope you will join us.
I will download your application.
There
Thank
you
you.
go.
You're welcome, ladies. This is what I do. I get Linda people to get jobs, and now I'm working for the league.
There you go.
Okay, very good.
Terrific.
No,
So we were talking before the show, Linda, that you might call, and that you work for the office for the aging, and we were talking about elderly voters. We were talking about absentee ballots. What do you see in your world over there, issues with voting?
Well, usually seniors are registered and vote. Don't you find that true?
Yes.
To be true, ladies.
This is true.
When I work a poll site, there a lot of older people come in, much more so than younger people, and I think it has to do a little bit with younger people being so busy now, 2-job families and raising kids and trying to get that all done, working during the day, getting dinner and the kids in bed, and then trying to go vote, even though most of them are open till 9. They are open till 9. And elderly people, I think, they have some more background, some more knowledge, but they also have more time to fit that into their day. So I think that's part of it.
And it's part of their DNA. They
Yes,
were raised
yes.
to vote,
Yeah.
and not that their kids today aren't being raised that way, but it's just, I think it was more ingrained, it was more of a national feel. And and I think also, depending on the age of the person and the generation they're in, sometimes they were first or second generation voters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Their parents maybe came in from another country, so
Yeah.
this was a thing of pride to be able to vote.
Right. Yeah.
One initiative I did want to mention that may bring more younger voters in is early voting. The League supports enacting voting in New York State. Currently, 37 states allow for early voting. So I think that early voting might help with younger populations.
Well, and seniors as well, I would think.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
any other issues, Lynn?
Well, I would like to just mention about, excuse my dog, he wants to say something about voting.
I guess.
But I think it's a generational thing, because I couldn't wait to vote.
Yep.
And when I had to wait till I was 21. I just could not wait to vote. And so, I think it's more of a generational thing. And making time, you can always make time for something that's that significant. And, excuse me, it's a matter of, how you look at it, too, I think. I've always considered our right to vote a real privilege.
Absolutely.
And something that's sacred and should be honored and practiced. People need to be informed about the candidates. I think maybe that's a reason why some people are hesitant to cast their ballot.
Well,
And
That's a good point.
We're going to talk about that in a second, but one of the things I also wanted to say is that we have an initiative locally called Take Me to Vote, where we go into schools and we actually give children a card that they go to vote with their parents, and then the election inspector checks it off. And the classes that have the most children that vote, get a pizza.
Oh, wow.
And a vegetable tray.
And a vegetable tray, right. Healthy eating.
what happened to the hot fudge sundae?
Yeah, really.
Oh, the McDonald's?
Yeah. So you talked about educating voters, and I think, again, one of the prime reasons for existence for the League is to educate voters. And we do that locally at a very local level with Meet the Candidates nights, which are coming up locally in your neighborhood. So October 23rd at 7 o'clock at the Weeks Room in JCC in Jamestown, we will have the candidates for New York State Assembly, which is Andrew Goodell and Judith Inack, and Chautauqua County Sheriff's candidates, Joseph Gerasi, and James B. Quattroni. And so we will be having a debate. One of the important things about the debate is that it's not scripted. I mean, it's scripted for me, the moderator, and the League, but it's not scripted for the candidates. So the questions come from the audience, and they have to respond and think on their feet. So you get to see them in action, how knowledgeable they are about the issues and how they handle themselves in a crunch situation.
Okay.
That's great. Well, thank you. I'm really enjoying the show, but I did want to mention that this week coming up is Hire the Older Worker Week. And there was a press release earlier, it was last week. It was in the senior sections of the 2 papers. There's also a notification on Facebook. I also have a really good job with a great company in Faulkner. It's for an office assistant, and computer experience is required.
Okay.
So they should, I have it posted on the website of the New York State Department of Labor Job Bank, but people should call me because it's really a great position.
And the number is on our screen, and for our listeners on the radio, let them have it, Lynn.
753-4471.
Okay.
There also are other services with the Office for the Aging, and of course, you know, the Alzheimer's Walk is next Saturday.
Right, we just talked about that.
Okay. All right. Well, have a great weekend and a great week, and thank you, ladies, for the great work that you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn, for calling. Have a good weekend. Take care.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
While you all were talking, a question came into my earpiece about early voting. The individual wasn't sure what is early voting. I mean, how does it work?
Well, it can vary how many days ahead early voting can happen. There are some impediments to it because of poll sites. So, you know, do we have enough money to have enough poll sites, and where do you place them? But there would be poll sites, and
So
let's
just like a
say
regular
in
vote.
Jamestown and in Dunkirk.
Okay.
And you would go to those sites to vote maybe 5 days before the general, election.
So this would replace the absentee ballot concept?
No, you could still vote absentee.
Okay. So what's the advantage of the early vote then?
Because you give more access, you have a broader range of time to vote.
Just another option.
Somebody might have, not be able to get off on a certain day. As a nurse, I remember there were certain days that it was just really hard and 12-hour shifts, so I didn't,
Or you don't think you need an absentee ballot, but you don't know what your schedule's going to be next week.
Right,
So maybe
so-
if I get in early, that type of
I think
thing.
Florida has early voting.
Yes, I've
Yes,
heard a
and
couple
Oregon
places
and
do.
Washington, and it's very successful.
Okay, and so is there early voting in Chautauqua
York's-
County? Not
no,
yet.
no,
All
not
right.
as of yet.
It would be New York State,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a New York
Oh,
State
so it would
thing.
have to be statewide. Okay.
pretty much.
One other thing about voting election law reform that we're looking at is automatic voter registration. So if you go to somewhere, like just for instance, to sign up for a license, for a motor vehicle license, you will automatically be registered to vote. This is not yet, but the league is supporting this. And you would have to opt out or say, no, I don't want to register to vote. But you would be registered to vote, and you'd have to opt out not to vote, be registered. So I think that they would like to support that, and I think that might be, get more people aware of voting and registration, hopefully.
Take a breather. Folks, you're watching Chautauqua Sunrise. I'm Doc Hamels, and my guests today are Mary Croxton and Marcia Merrins from the League of Women's Voters here in Chautauqua County. And there's still time if you have a question or a comment you want to make. Give us a call at 753-5225. Okay, you mentioned that you have a variety of platforms, issues, concerns that you support or promote. So how about we go through some of those? I know you already talked about, you mentioned plastics in water. Okay, maybe people aren't real familiar with that, and what's the position of the league on that?
Well, it was more of an there are things we have positions on.
Positions?
And then there are things we just educate voters on. We may not have
Okay,
a position.
all right.
Sometimes we present both sides of an issue without the league actually having a position, just to educate ourselves. So, for example, wind turbines were an issue that the league didn't really have a position on, and
We
so
did a forum.
so we would have a forum and
So
present.
You see a social
pros-
issue, let's talk about
We
it.
had one
Exactly.
person talk about some issues with windmills on a negative side, and then we had somebody from the
Pros
Sierra
and
Club.
cons.
Fracking was a big one. We
Yeah,
had
that was a
locally,
big one.
hydrofracking. We had pros and cons.
You don't hear too much about that lately.
No, it's
Because
kind
it's
of
banned and
because they banned it, which is nice.
Pretty much right.
We had position on what we called bomb trains, which are the trains
Oh,
that come
yes,
through
yes, we did-
carrying.
we talked about that
had
here
it,
one day.
yeah. So I mean, we inform voters, and then when they look at a candidate, they can look at their position on an issue. You know, most of the time when candidates confront each other, if not reined in, they will not talk about a position on a specific issue. They will talk in generalities like freedom and democracy, but not really,
Getting down to the nitty gritty, how they're going to do it.
not
in details.
really come down because they don't want to alienate this group or that group who may support them. So I think educating yourself and going to voter websites where they have League of Voters of New York State has a website called votingnewyork.org, and it's an electronic guide that includes information for all candidates, and it goes right down to local candidates as well if they have submitted their responses to positions on certain issues, whether it be environmental or political or women's issues or domestic issues or fair anything.
the
Fair.
candidates themselves supply the answers, so it's not a biased kind of situation. But it's a very easy, navigable site,
And
I found.
there's a hard copy called Voter's Guide Part 2, which is being printed right now, and it has the results of the winners of the local primaries, which was just last week or the week before.
13th.
So their responses are in this, and they'll be distributed print matter, which is getting scarce now, around the county with candidate information, and that's produced by the League.
Well, okay, so what are the hot buttons as far as you're concerned? Let's go local, state, and national for the League right now.
One thing, I did send out a questionnaire to all the League members about plastic straws and plastic bags. So the result of that questionnaire, we can go to lobby to, the Chautauqua County legislators to see, depending on what the vote comes out, do we want to ban straws? Or do we want to say, well, you have to ask for a straw, and that reduces the number
Right.
of straws? Do you want to ban plastic bags, or do you want to put a price on the plastic bags? Say a 10 cents a bag. Actually, that has worked better than just banning the plastic bags altogether.
And that's one issue. I mean, that's
the-
that's one issue. But I think in terms of national issues, it's campaign finance reform, which will always be, in my mind, and I think the League's mind, the source of all evil in the political world is campaign finance reform. It's where the money comes from, and then the obligation of the candidates to deliver to that. So campaign finance reform, and I think if it's a level playing field, I think there'll be more voters voting. Because right now, many voters think it doesn't matter whether they vote or not. It's all a matter
lot of
of
young people believe that.
who gets the money. So in my mind, campaign finance reform is everything. Whether it be environmental issues, the right environment, you have all of the people who produce plastics lobbying,
Right.
right? So it's all about money and where the money goes. And I think that, I think one of the questions we're going to ask candidates is what proposals are they in favor of for election campaign finance reform. And oftentimes when the league asks a question like that at a debate, you don't get the answer. They go on some platform, some line that they have to deliver during the debate. And one of the jobs is the moderator to keep all of the candidates on task to answer the question. I will say, will you go back to that question? What specifically can you do? And I think it's very hard for candidates, and that's why the debates are very important.
Now, you mentioned state assembly and sheriff, but I didn't hear anything about U.S. congressperson.
We are not doing that debate.
Why?
Reed's office did not want to do a debate here.
Whoa!
And we
Thomas,
tried
what's wrong
to get
with
go with the Cattaraugus League of Women Voters too. Just
They're having it in Olean. I think they may be one in Jamestown, I have to say. But we're
but
not
it's
running.
not we're
It's
not
not the
running
league.
It. It's the news.
That's the
groupers.
other thing. They call these. We actually have a debate in Olean. They're calling it a debate with Matrano and Reed, but it's not. It's the newspaper that is asking questions where the audience cannot ask questions.
That's an interview.
It's an interview. It's not a debate. And I think I have to say that we have been trying to get Reed forever to commit to a date, and he would not commit with the league. And I think I think he might feel awkward. And this is not, I am not being partisan.
Right.
It's usually an incumbent from either party who sometimes refuses to debate because they feel they
got this.
They got it, and
they don't
just
need
need
you.
those voters to come out again. So the incumbents that do debate, I think, need to be applauded, and the league does a fair debate.
Good.
So interviews with a newspaper or some of the TV shows that you see that have national debates are not debates. They're free for all.
Coming up here, just to do a plug for Destination Chautauqua, Chris Burt puts together interviews and debates, and I've moderated them here as well. But just for folks to know, we do have, at least scheduled some interviews from what I understand, and I think we might have a debate, but stay tuned on that. But I understand the difference because I do them both, and one is fire and the other one is nice.
Yeah, they get to state their platform
Right.
and say whatever it is their bullet points are. But in a debate that's open to the public,
Yep.
you better be on your toes, and the moderator has to be on their toes too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's pretty grueling.
One other question that we want to ask, the league is asking us. New York State has one of the lowest voter participation rates in the country. What election reforms would you support to improve voter participation? And that's why we say, vote, it counts. It's one of our mottos.
Absolutely. We're
people
down
have
to
to
less than
realize
a
it.
minute, and I don't want to talk anymore other than to give Marcia a little bit of time to wrap up, and then to you, Mary. Okay. Marcia?
Well, I think everybody should join the League of Women Voters. I think it is a great organization, and as I mentioned before, even if you can't be active in it or come to our luncheons, you can at least support our numbers when we do advocacy across New York State, Chautauqua County, and the National League. You join all three levels with your membership, so you're supporting national lobbying issues for election reform and other things like that.
Mary, last word?
Being a member doesn't mean that you can't be involved in politics, just because we are nonpartisan. And I think that is an impediment for some people thinking, I can't talk about a candidate.
Right.
But you're able to participate in, political.
Super.
Aspects.
Ladies, I've learned a lot about the League of Women's Voters. We've run out of time, and I told you it was going to go quick.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming by and informing us and the viewers and listeners. And thank you for all the work you're doing, and keep up the good job. and maybe we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm Doc Hamels. You've been listening to Mary Croxton and Marcia Merrins from the League of Women's Voters. And get out there and register, join the group, get informed, and we'll see you all right here next Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Chautauqua Sunrise. Have a good weekend. Take care now.